It's time for ARC Audio DSP Quick Tips. Today, we're going to be talking about one of those moments where you're in deep into a DSP and you're like, oh crap, something doesn't sound right. What did I do? And in a lot of these DSPs, there's a multitude of pages that you have to thumb through, or a multitude of settings that you have to thumb through to find things. I know this myself because I've messed up before and spent 15 minutes on the phone with our good friend Nick Wingate for me to finally go, oh, haha, I found the problem. I'd crossed the tweeter over very poorly. Apparently didn't work that way. Magically fixed it. Everything worked great. So let's hop over to the laptop. And what we're looking at here is the ARC Audio DNA software. And if you're not familiar with this, you can head over to arcaudio.com and download it. If you are familiar with it, there was an update that just came out for fixing some of the little bugs that pop up in DSP software. They are constantly actively updating their software. They do not stop, which is great because that means if there's a problem, they're going to find it. The first thing we want to do is we've set up our DSP. So we're down the road now. And we've noticed something goofy is happening. So we go to Tools and we go to Plot. If you haven't already launched it, it'll pop up as a little pop-up menu, and then you can go to full screen like I did here. Across the top, you have Legend, EQ, Single Band, Crossover, Tone, Levels, Fader, and Polarity. And what we can do with this is your channels are down the side. We have tweeter, mid-range, mid-bass, rear, and sub-output way down here on channel 12. If we turn off the Legend, all that information will go away, which we don't want to do. We can click G here, and it'll populate everything. If
What's G for?
We click P here, graph. P is polarity.
Okay.
And it'll highlight them all. We could also come down and individually check. So we can check one at a time. The first thing I want to check is polarity. So if I turn that on, and I come over here and pick P, I can see now that I've turned 3 speakers, I've flipped the polarity 180 degrees. So if I'm doing my test and I'm like, something's wrong, that one's popping backwards, and I go, what did I do? I accidentally turned one on, or I turned on the wrong one, but I know now which ones I have in polarity. So next, we're going to come over here and we're going to look at crossovers. And so what this is going to tell me is this is all my crossovers. I need to go through individually, though, make sure that tweeter is good, turn that one off, that tweeter is good, that mid-range is good, turn that off. This mid-range is good because remember, they lay over each other and they're going to light up the color corresponding to, all right, there we go there. Turn that one off and then see what the rears are doing. Yep. Okay. So we're good there. And then last but not least, we'll check the subwoofer. All right. So all my crossovers are where they're supposed to be. So I know there's not a problem there. The next thing I can do is come on while I have my crossovers on. If I click level, now I can see the interactions of the levels I've created. And I can go through and I can turn these on and off individually or in pairs and find out, okay, so for example, I'll turn them off and I'll look at my 2 tweeters and I can see that my driver's front tweeter is louder than my passenger front tweeter. Well, that could be causing the problem. Let's say it's pulling to the left and I'm like, oh, they're backwards. I did something goofy there. So I can now go back in and go to my levels and adjust that. The next thing I can do, if I turn those off, is I can also, if I don't want to see the crossover points, I can just look at straight levels. And then I can come back and I can turn those all on. And now I can, at a glance, each one of these colors is going to correspond. So green is the highest. And if I go over to my side area here, I can see that my driver's mid is green. So if I'm having an issue, I'll know, hey, that's the driver's mid is the loudest speaker in the car. Why? Well, because I turned it up. If I turn that off and I go to this one, EQ, I can see all the equalization that I've done to the vehicle. I could see what speakers are loud, like for some reason, whatever this one is here, which is the driver's mid bass. I put a huge bump in that for some reason. So if that driver's mid-bass is farting, oh gosh, well, that could be it. And I could overlay levels on top of that if I wanted to. And now I could see, oh.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And then I could also come over and I can overlay crossovers on top of that. So the purpose of this is just as a maintenance page. If something weird is happening and you need to go and find it, you want to go to the plot page in the DNA software and it's all there. Pretty handy tool to have access to. This has been DSP Quick Tips